If you're buying a Nintendo console, you're probably buying it for Nintendo games, but those aren't the only games that'll be there at launch for the Switch 2. And so I kind of wanted to talk about the games that I think are going to be the big winners from the Switch 2's launch. And really that's going to be games that I think are just going to be fun on the Switch 2, might have a chance to like reintroduce themselves to people through the Switch 2, or they'll just like ride the wave of excitement for new hardware and people using that as an excuse to buy more games. So over here at, I think this is Nintendo Life. Yeah, Nintendo Life. They have a confirmed Switch 2 games list. Looking at a lot of stuff over here. Here's June. Most of these are going to be on launch day. Not all of them, though. Some of the launch games include, of course, first party we know about, Mario Kart and what is it? The not World Tour, Welcome Tour. The Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Yeah, stuff like that's coming. But as far as like other games from other companies, third parties, there is Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, Hogwarts Legacy, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. Let's see here. Oh yeah, the GameCube classics. I think those will do very well. Nobunaga's Ambition. I always have to like rev myself up to say Nobunaga. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S. God, there's quite a few games here that it's like if you're in the mood, you're gonna be able to pick up something that's pretty fun. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, Split Fiction. I think like all of these, there is a pretty clear winner in terms of game that is going to be able to like really ride this wave, reintroduce itself to a new audience, and sort of be the feel good story. And it's really already happening, and that's Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. This is a game where already people are feeling pretty good about it relative to how it launched. It's already had its turnaround story, and that has mostly happened. It's entirely happened off of Nintendo platforms, but for the most part, people who are have committed themselves to playing games on Nintendo hardware, which there's still a lot of people like that. They've maybe seen this Cyberpunk story happening off to the side, away from them, and now they're gonna have a reason to pick it up because it's gonna be right there on the Switch 2, and they're gonna have all of that in their ear of, oh, this game turned into a really good game, right? Well, in a lot of people's estimation, that's exactly what happened. More notably, though, maybe, and this is, let's get over here. The studio's just saying all the right things to kind of get that Nintendo audience on their side. One of the big dust-ups so far, and, a pre-launch dust-up, how meaningful is anything right now? Because people's anxiousness about, am I going to like this thing that I'm about to spend a lot of money on? Will some things annoy me? Is this going to make the experience really bad? Is it going to spoil the experience? All of those feelings get amplified before something comes out. So people are very much in their feelings about Nintendo game key cards, which I understand. There's a lot of questions around these things. These are game cards that have no game on them, but you will need them in your system to activate your version of the game. It's not a digital copy. It is instead basically a key on a card that unlocks the game that you'll have to download. But then that means what you could do is you could take the card and you could sell it, you could give it to a friend, and now they can play the game as long as they have the game key card in their system. A lot of third-party developers so far and a lot of publishers have revealed that their games are going to use game key cards. Now, we think the reason for this is that is really the only affordable option that Nintendo is giving to a lot of their partners. The rumor is that Nintendo is giving like a menu that has either a 64 gigabyte Nintendo Switch 2 game card, which is probably very expensive. In fact, we can just assume rightfully that is very expensive for the people manufacturing the games, because it has a lot of storage on there, and that increases the cost of these little devices. The other options were a game key card or a digital version, which I think would mean when you're going through Nintendo, a digital key in a box. And so that'd be separate from the game key card. Well, Cyberpunk 2077 stands out from the crowd by being one of these games that's not going to use a game key card. In fact, they've been out there saying that, the Nintendo audience specifically is the reason you should try to avoid that. Now, they have money. They can afford to do this. Their game is also very large. It's also very finished, right? This is a game that has been out for a long time. So putting out a finalized version on a game card and paying for the 64 gigabyte card for a game that likely is around that size, all of that makes a lot of sense for CD Projekt Red, where it wouldn't make sense for other developers. And yet they are still going to be able to ride this wave of people being like, I can get this game on this card and it can be part of my collection and I can feel good about it being a physical thing that I'm investing in for long term, and I can feel good about adding it to my shelf with all these other games I've collected. And really, CDPR is out there talking exactly in that way. Let's see, business development VP Jan Rosner told the game business that it's not a matter of getting away with something. Nintendo at physical retail is still strong, and retail is, in general, not going anywhere. I don't think we'll soon experience a reality where we're just having all games digital. Rosner says that proper physical game releases are especially important for the Nintendo audience. We maybe could have gotten away with it, but is there a point? The right thing to do was to have it out on the card, they call it a cartridge, with a plug and play experience. This is going to be music to Nintendo Switch game collectors' ears. They're going to absolutely, I think they're going to reward this. This is why I think this game stands to be the big winner coming out of launch, is because there's going to be a lot of people lining up to get this game. One, it's probably going to be pretty good on Switch 2. The game has, seems like it might have been specifically optimized for its tips or for its tricks and bells and whistles. And then, on top of that, it's nice to have all this like sort of line up with how people value their games. Those things have lined up here between this game and the people who play these games, and they're really going to appreciate that. Rosner did go on to say, do not underestimate the physical edition. It's not going anywhere, and Nintendo players are very appreciative of physical editions that are done right. So, yeah. And I think that this, again, they stand to be very rewarded here. As far as other games from launch day, I think that they're like Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. I'm worried is going to get lost in the shuffle. That is a pretty cool game. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition has, Mario and Luigi costumes. So you can dress as Luigi and go to the, what is it, the Isle of Sigil or something like that. I can't remember the name of the island, but there's a bunch of CEOs there. You can take them out as Luigi. That's fun. I'm going to get that one. I'm a huge Hitman fan, though. I think those are like the best, like some of the best video games you can get. And especially since 2016, Hitman's been the best. World of Assassination brings all those games together into one package. And now you have even more new stuff. I've played this on like 4 different platforms now. I'll play it on another one. Let's see here. Outside of that, I think Street Fighter 6 has a good chance of popping off just because it's going to look very good. And it's going to do well in like comparisons between other platforms. It's going to be a showcase a little bit. So it might have a chance of getting some of that shine. Yakuza 0 is one that I think really has a strong chance of popping off. This is one that has done exactly that everywhere so far. As Sega has gone through the work and RGG has gone through the work to bring that franchise everywhere, to make sure that there's quality versions of all of the entries in the Yakuza series available on all these different platforms, putting it on Game Pass. I don't know, just making it readily available in Steam sales. People have been playing these games. It has a ton of momentum. And now, again, kind of like what's happened with Cyberpunk, where people have heard the story bubbling over here on these other platforms, I think there's going to be a lot of Nintendo first game players who are going to finally be saying with this one, now is the time to get on. Especially because when people ask that question, hey, where should I start? Where should I get on with the Yakuza series? Yakuza 0 is the number one answer for that question, usually, for most people. And once again, this is a director's cut, so this is one of those slightly spiffed up versions that are specific for the Switch 2, which might help it stand out a little bit more. All right, going beyond launch day, there's just a couple of things I think that are worth calling out. Really, though, I mean, the big one for me is Star Wars Outlaws. this is a game that I'm a bit of a defender of. So, and I'm in a Star Wars mood after Andor. So please take with a grain of salt if you are skeptical. But I think that game is really good to great in a lot of ways. Now, they've improved it for sure with some aspects of just kind of smoothing out the process of getting into the fun of that game. It's also a game where I would recommend trying to get off the first planet as soon as possible. But I think this is one that has a chance of doing really well on the Switch 2, because I think we are past that initial wave of people going, what is this? I don't even want to care about this. And Ubisoft giving people a lot of reasons to just ignore it. Now the story's turned around a little bit, and it's very much like Star Wars Outlaws is a game that's been updated a lot of times. The people that are still talking about it are mostly talking about it in really good terms. And so maybe, as this hits in late summer on September 4th, right as people are getting ready to go back to school, it feels like one that could just hit at a good time where people are still looking for something to play on their Switch 2. It's that Star Wars game that you heard is a lot better than when it first came out. It's something to play on your shiny new device. I think there's a chance that this could be the reintroduction, one of those ideas here of like how these games can pop out, where it sort of has a chance to find an audience that wasn't or won't immediately dismiss it, like what happened with Star Wars Outlaws when it came out everywhere else earlier this year, last year. God, was that last year? I think that was last year. And then, yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. Gotta want that on Switch 2. I think that'll be very good. Yeah, I mean, there's things that we don't know about. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I think that does very well on the Switch 2 when it comes out. In fact, I mean, it could sell a couple million copies. Like, maybe it's not going to sell as well as it originally did on the PlayStation when it was exclusive. I think what was like 5 million copies or something like that. But God, I don't know. That audience on Switch is very receptive to RPGs. And I think Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade has a good chance of capitalizing on that. And then Hades 2. Hades 2 is going to be emblematic of the relationship that the Switch 2 continues to have with indie games. The Switch 1, right from the launch, like stuff like Golf Story, were games that came out and people were looking for something to play on their Switch. They saw these games that occasionally would bubble up from the indie scene, and a few were just chosen as champions. Like, hey, this is a game that you should go get this on your Switch, play it right now. You're looking for something to play on that device. Here it is. That over time turned into Switches for indie games. It's a great place to play all your indie games, and Switch 2 will definitely have that as well. Hades 2 is also going to get the shine of Nintendo really likes Hades. Obviously, a big part of that was Hades 1 did sell extremely well on the Switch 1. Nintendo noticed that and sort of took the studio under its wing a little bit. It's like, I don't think it's probably not giving them money. Nintendo doesn't really do that, but kind of just giving it a spotlight in the eShop, a spotlight in some Nintendo Directs. Hades 2 is going to sort of be, the poster child for how like the chosen one indies can really get a lot of momentum on the Switch 2, especially at an early point of its life. All right. Are there any Switch 2 games that you want to call out that you think have a chance of really succeeding? I mean, God, if there's like, I guess I could do one of these videos for ones that I'm worried about will fall through the cracks. I kind of said that with Kunitsugami a little bit. I mean, really, that's going to be hard to predict. I mean, or maybe it'd be too easy. Like, do I think Survival Kids takes off? Honestly, I don't know. I should just say that one won't do well, so when it sells like 10 million copies, I look like a doofus. Either way, I'm thinking about this system a lot. This video is evidence of that. So thanks for hanging out with me while I go over how I'm feeling about the Switch 2 and its games. Just want to get the thing in my hands. I was talking to Bacalar the other day over at Giant Bomb, and I'm saying, like, I just want to have the thing. And he was like surprised because he's like just looking at Mario Kart, and he's like, yeah, I mean, it's more Mario Kart. Like, it's not even about that at this point. I just want to hold the hardware for the hardware's sake. It looks really slick and cool, and I just want to turn it on and sort of play with it a little bit. And then I'm probably going to play a ton of Mario Kart. Let's be real. All right. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, hit thumbs up. If this wasn't for you, thumbs down. And then I'll try to do better next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. If you support me over at patreon.com/GameMess, Still doing that. That's still going strong. It's got I think a pretty cool future ahead of it in terms of new things we can do to sort of justify it happening alongside what I'm doing over at Giant Bomb. Maybe a slightly different tone, but if you like the things we've been doing, videos like these, keep watching. I'll keep making them. All right. Thank you. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.